Right. Okay. So, For Your Eyes Only. Yes. So, I actually really, really like this film. I would say, to me, this is probably Roger Moore's second best Bond film because Spy Who Loved Me is just great. Don't argue with me on that. But this one, I actually really like because it does attempt to try and make itself a little bit more serious than the last one. I think because obviously, like, going into outer space. It was a bit ridiculous. It was a bit ridiculous for some people. Some people struggled with the idea of James Bond going into outer space. So they thought, ooh, let's maybe try to ground things a little bit more. Like make it less about all this silly going into space shite. Which no, I like James Bond going into space. I'm one of these fans where I'm happy to watch a serious Bond film, and I'm also happy to watch a silly Bond film. And does have some silliness in it. Like at the very end, there's a bit where you have this woman who's impersonating Margaret Thatcher, and it's very silly. It's like watching a comedy sketch, like the Two Ronnies or something, or it's like Harry Enfield or something. Um, and it's very silly. But for the most part, this film is very serious, and you've got this main storyline about this woman who has a crossbow. She's a crossbow woman, and her family gets killed, and she wants revenge. She then comes across James Bond. James Bond then gets involved in whatever the villain wants to do. The villain is played by Julian Glover, and he's an all right villain. He's not the worst villain. He's not the best villain. He was obviously in Star Wars, and he was also in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. He was the main villain in that, and he was in Game of Thrones. He's been in lots of stuff. He's been in Troy. He's done a lot of good stuff. I think he's still about. I might be wrong. I don't know. Let's hope he is. But he's not the worst villain. He's not the best villain. There's maybe just nothing extravagant about him, and yeah, he's kind of like grooming this young girl, bit of an old perv. And what's his name? Topol is in it. If I was a rich man, da 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 da. That guy, he's in it. He doesn't sing in it though, and him and Bond, they become buddies, and then they go on this adventure. There's some shooting and some action. There's some good skiing stuff in this film actually as well, and there's a good scene where Bond gets attacked by hockey players. But yeah, the skiing stuff is good, and there's bobsleighing I think as well. And there's a henchman in it as well who's a bit terrifying. And there's another bit as well in this film where James Bond, Roger Moore, again shows a little bit of grittiness. There's a bit where he pushes a guy who is in a car. He's in a car and he kicks the car off a cliff. I mean, he doesn't just kick the car and then it falls off a cliff. Like the car is like hanging on a cliff, and he kicks it, and the guy falls to his death inside the car. So that's kind of a cool moment where Roger Moore gets to be a badass. But the thing I really, really, really do like about this film, though, is the end scene where he's climbing up the mountain. I mean, again, bit ridiculous, Roger Moore climbing up a mountain. Not very believable, but whatever. It's a film, it's a movie. But I remember actually watching this film when I was younger, and I remember actually like thinking, oh my God, this is really exciting. And I remember like my heart stopping when there's a bit where he falls. I mean, he's still attached to a harness, but like he fall like someone detaches his rope, and it's like whoa, fuck. That bit really makes me go whoa. But that's a pretty good cool scene. It's like Cliffhanger. It's like recently there was this film called Apex with Charlize Theron, and I would never ever in a million years do anything like that climbing, free climbing or whatever they call that. I would never do that because that's just madness. I don't know how people do it, but for some reason they like to do that. There was another film as well called The Fall, where like they climb up a cliff and then it goes wrong and somebody dies. That always seems to happen, doesn't it? There's never been a climbing film, like a free climbing film where somebody climbs up, like Vertical Limit, like where somebody climbs up a cliff and doesn't die, so because like at the beginning of that film, they go up a cliff, and then the dad dies, and and it's like it always happens. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But yeah, I love that whole part of the. I love that whole part of the film. He doesn't really have any like gadgets. I don't think I can't remember him having any gadgets. Like there's no car. I think he does have the same car from The Spy Who Loved Me, but it only makes like a brief appearance. There isn't really a whole lot to talk about with this film. It's kind of just like a good standard movie, but I mean, I don't feel like people talk about it enough really, like this film. I feel like it's one of those underrated sort of films, because I think like people who are fans of serious Bond films don't really rate it that high because it's Roger Moore and people can't take him seriously. But then on the other hand, it's not funny enough. So the people who like to see Roger Moore being funny and silly and ridiculous, it's not really for them as well. So you're kind of disappointing both camps, you know, both sides of the fan base. And this is Roger Moore's, I believe this is his fifth Bond film. He obviously made the most official Bond films. And I think there was plans of maybe this being his last one. Obviously that didn't happen, but I think there were plans for maybe replacing him with the next one. But that obviously didn't happen, which is good. I think it's good because, you know, we all love Roger. Roger's great. But I think maybe, I mean, cutting ahead a little bit, but like with View to a Kill, I think maybe he stayed one too long. Even though I like View to a Kill, but he probably shouldn't have done that one. Anyway, I'm getting too ahead of myself. But anyway, yeah, this film's all right. You know, you got a woman with a crossbow. I can't remember what her name was. There's a pretty good scene where they're tied to a rope and they're being dragged by a boat. That's pretty good. There's lots of great action scenes all the way through. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Topol is in it. Topol. How do you pronounce his name? Topol. Whatever. Yeah, I've got nothing. I've got nothing more to say about this film. I think I'm just gonna end it there, because I think I have a lot more to say about the next film, which is, yes, Octopussy. Yeah, it's called Octopussy. Somebody said, let's call this Octopussy. Yeah. Anyway, right. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.